Hi everyone. Hi everyone. My name is Radomir Mokrik. I'm a researcher at the Institute of East European Studies, Faculty of Arts, Charles University in Prague. And on behalf of the organization team, I'm happy to welcome you on our today's workshop, today's meeting, entitled History and Memory in the Digital Age, which is organized by the Center for Research of the Liberation Movement, Ukraine. And this workshop is being held within the project Persecuted Art, National Culture through KGB STB Eyes, Ukraine, Czech Republic, and Georgia. It is also organized with the support of the European Union under the House of Europe program. So today we will talk a little bit about culture, about heritage of socialist regimes, about the KGB and STB archive, and how different organizations in Czech Republic deals and work with this heritage. We will have, I hope, 5 presentations, 15 minutes each. Just one small technical remark before we start. It's for the audience that after all the presentations, at the end of our meeting, there will be space for question and answers. So please feel free to write down your questions on the comments. Leave us your questions, your thoughts, and we will discuss it after all the presentations. So I guess it's all about the technical stuff. Well, without further ado, I'd like to introduce our first speaker, Štěpán Černoušek. He's a Czech researcher, chairman of Gulag.cz association, and he's also the head of Czech branch of the International Memorial Society. So I guess Štěpán will tell us a little bit about this association, like in general, and describe its main activities. So please, Štěpán, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Radko. Hello, everybody. My name is Štěpán Černoušek, and as Radko said, I am the chairman of Gulag.cz association, and our goal is popularization of the topic of research of Soviet repressions. And what we do, we have a lot of activities, and the main activities are that we map abandoned Gulag camps in Siberia, and we work with the results, and we look for possibilities how to spread the information among public, not only in the Czech Republic. And everything began a couple of years ago during our expeditions to Siberia, when I mapped some satellite images, and I realized that there are still remains of Gulag camps, and I decided to go there and to have a look on these places by my own eyes. And I will show you a short video from our movie called A Journey to the Gulag, which is about our expedition, and you will see what our job in Siberia is about and how we work there. And after, I will tell you more about the main results. So I will share the screen with you, and I will show you the video. I hope it will work.
Zase několik kilometrů tajgou. Tam jsme se konečně dočkali. Nejdřív jsme narazili na psí boudy, tam byli chováni strážní psy, kteří byli u každého tábora. To vypadá, jako kdyby ty psy tam byly v podstatě ještě včera. Působí to vlastně docela dost intenzivně.
Člověk tam vlastně přišel a najednou nebyl v nějakém muzeu, ale jako přímo to bylo ten skutečný lágr, kde skutečně žili ty lidi tam jako trpěli, umírali a najednou prostě na člověka dopadne ta tíseň toho místa.
Je to jak z nějaký pohádky nebo jak z nějakého sci-fi románu, kdy prostě ze dne na den najednou zmizí civilizace z nějakého města a zůstanou tam všechny ty předměty a atributy běžného života, ale zmizejí ty lidi.
No tam zdi. Jo, tak tady od tý, no. Tam tady od cítí. Tady od tý, jo. ,56, 89 cm.
My jsme začali prostě ty domy jeden po druhém pořádně dokumentovat. Viděli jsme, že vlastně času máme málo. Měli jsme na to jenom 3 dny a 4. den už jsme byli domluveni, že se po nás vrátí mniši na člunu a dovezou nás na letadlo.
Každé panorama ve finále je 95 fotografií a nesmí vám žádná chybět. Protože pak by samozřejmě jste nebyl schopen takzvaně sestyčovat ty panoramata dohromady a mít jakoby těch 360.
Byl úplně minimální čas na odpočinek. My jsme opravdu jako jsme věděli, že teď máme poslední 3 dny, kdy můžeme jako něco vlastně zdokumentovat a přivít, že teď vlastně a na samém závěru té expedice jsme se dostali tam, jako co jsme mysleli, že budeme mít od samého začátku.
Okay, so can you hear me, please? Yes. Okay, great. So it was a movie from our expedition. The whole movie is available at our website, and as you can see, we have a Ukrainian and subtitles. And I hope one day we will come to the Ukraine and we will show the movie in person to the audience, the whole movie. So we organized 4 expeditions like this, and we have a lot of results, and we call the results as an archaeology of the Gulag. Wait a minute, I will. Okay, yeah, you can visit our website, available at Gulag.cz, and you can have a look our articles about the archaeology of the Gulag, and there are some results as panoramic pictures, and the computer doesn't work very good, so I hope it will work better if you go there after the presentation. We have also 3D models of some objects, which is made by technology called photogrammetry. It is a technology when you take pictures from all the sides of the object, and then you can put it together and to have a 3D model of the object. And we have a lot of objects like this, and we are going to present it to public. All these technologies and results of the expeditions we present in our virtual museum called Gulag Online. And and together with these results of the expeditions and all these technologies, we also have in the virtual museum some stories of Czech victims of Soviet repressions and also of victims from other countries, Poland, Baltic states, and so on, because you know, the Soviet repressions, it's not history only of Soviet citizens and Soviet Union, because among the victims were also thousands of people from other countries, and there were more than 1,300 executed Czechs in the Soviet Union, and other thousands of Czechs were prisoners of the Gulag camps. And it's one of the reasons why we decided to do something more with the results from the expeditions, to show to broad public something more about the history, which is not really very known in the Czech Republic. And now I will show you a short trailer about the Gulag Online Virtual Museum. Okay, so everything is available at Gulag.online, and you are welcome to visit the site and to check the articles and the information on the website. So to develop all these projects, it's necessary to cooperate with many other organizations in the Czech Republic and also abroad. And we cooperate with our colleagues from the Ukraine, with the SBU archive. We have also very tight cooperation with Memorial Society in Russia. And we, for example, we helped them to find support for the Russian historian Yuri Dmitriev, who is in prison at this time. And we also, after this very tight cooperation, decided to establish a Czech branch of the Memorial Society in the Czech Republic. And we find very important to support our colleagues from Russia, from Memorial, because their work is really necessary for our research, for research of Czech historians who are interested in the topic of Soviet repressions, and it wouldn't be possible to have so much information as we have without the Memorial Society. And one of the common projects with Memorial Society is a project of search engine called memsearch.org, which you can see on the screen at this moment. And this is a search engine which includes around 15 databases of memorial societies, and also our Gulag.online database. And here are some results of projects of memorial branches from Moscow, from St. Petersburg, from Perm, and other Russian cities and other Russian memorial branches. And this project we have been developing for 3 or 4 years, and the process goes on, and we have a plan to put more databases to this search engine. So it's one of the main projects, common projects, and the other one is, for example, the project of last address, which we help to memorial to involve the Czech Republic. So there is also Czech version of the last address in the Czech Republic, thanks to the cooperation with the memorial. So we have also a lot of presentations in Czech schools, universities, and also abroad in other countries. We had some presentations in Finland, United States, and also in Russia. Last year in Russian State Museum of the Gulag in Moscow, and we presented our work and also our project with virtual reality and our plans how to use these technologies in educational tools for educational purposes. But maybe it's another topic, which another huge project which my colleague Alexandra will present you, and she will tell you more about that. So that's all from my side.
Okay, thank you, Stepan, for this extremely important topic, and I suppose that there will be a lot of questions about it at the very end. But now we will move to the next presentation, and our next, the second speaker is Alexandra Skorvit, which is a coordinator of educational programs at the same association, Gulag.cz, and I guess that Alexandra will tell us about how it works, their cooperation with schools. So please, Alexandra, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you, Radko. Hello. So yes, I will tell you about our main project in the Gulag.cz association. So we have started experimenting with virtual reality technologies because modern technologies just offer a lot, and it would be a pity not to use it. And so our main project on which we are currently working together with our partners, it is developing an innovative educational tool about the Soviet gulags. And in this educational tool, we use both virtual and augmented reality technologies. And this tool will be designed primarily for European schools, basically for students in these schools. So we expect that the teachers in schools all over Europe will be able to use our educational tool in their history lessons. And first of all, I should mention our sponsors and our main sponsors who supported the development of our tool are the Czech Technology Agency, Česká technologická agentura, which mainly supports applied research, and our other sponsor is a very well-known European Erasmus Plus program. And we started developing our tool last year, means 2020, and it should be presented in early 2023. So that means we have now a little less than 2 years to develop it. And now, when I say educational tool about the Soviet gulags, what do I mean by that? It means that our tool basically will have a lot of different components. And I will not go into detail right now because we're still developing it. But in short, we are developing basically a whole learning model for school teachers. That means for school teachers to be able to work with that, they are going to need at least 90 minutes of a school lesson, during which students will get to know what a Soviet Gulag was, why it existed, and what it looked like. And the innovation of our tool is really that the students will be able to visit a virtual model of the Gulag camp. So here is where we used virtual technology, virtual reality technology. They will be able to visit a model of a Gulag camp. They will be able to walk inside of it, see what it looks like, and I will show you. Okay, so I need to share my screen here. I hope it works. Yeah. Hope you can see that. And I will show you. Yeah. So this is a video of what the model of a Gulag camp looks like in virtual reality. That is the first version that we developed. We're still working on it. We're improving it. And so this is basically what the students in schools will see. They will be able to walk in here. So the emotional experience is really very important here because you do not get that kind of emotions in an ordinary history lesson in school. You are not able to get into that really. And yeah, and so as Stepan said, what is really important here is that all that we can see, all the barracks are recreated on the basis of real data from expeditions in Siberia. And so yeah, so we are developing a 3D model of a Gulag camp, but that's not it. In the educational tool, students will be also able to see some objects from everyday life of prisoners of the Gulag in augmented reality, and there will be also created a specialized website and some educational applications. I would like, we do not have any website on this project yet. We are developing it, but I can show you, here I will stop that, and I can show you, and later we can send you this link. That is an article on our website, Gulag.cz. So here you can find some information about this project. It's not as detailed as what I'm saying, but there are also some videos and you can look at it. So yeah, so that is what we're doing here. And what remains for me to say is that this project is international. So we are working on it with partners from the Czech Republic, from Slovakia, from Poland, and Germany. And as a result, each of the partner countries, each of these 4 countries will get a version of an educational tool which will be adapted to realities in their countries. But as I said, in the future, ideally, it will be freely available for all the teachers throughout the European countries. So as we expect, any school in Europe which is interested, any teacher in Europe that will be interested in using this tool will be able to get online and get it. And we will also organize seminars for history teachers in Europe to show them how to work with this educational tool. And also, as Stepan said, we cooperate quite a lot with the Russian organization International Memorial in Moscow. It is our partner, and we have plans of launching this project also in Russia. But the situation in Russia is really difficult right now, and the situation with International Memorial is more difficult. It's getting more difficult every day, because the Russian authorities are putting a lot of pressure on the International Memorial. So we are not quite sure about how we will develop this project, but we will try that. And of course, the big advantage that European schools, primarily Czech schools that I'm speaking about, Czech secondary schools have, and teachers in Czech secondary schools have, is that teachers here can decide for themselves when can they speak about gulags and totalitarian regimes. When will we start? How to get that information to the student? How to build a lesson? So basically, they have a lot of freedom, and of course, in Russia, teachers do not have that freedom. So that is also really difficult for us to decide how to get that into Russia. And so, yeah, so I said that we have like 2 years to develop that project, and it may seem like a lot of time, but it's really not, because we are dealing with a lot of problems, a lot of issues that we have to decide what we will do about it, and that is like really a lot of different problems. Some of these problems may be like technical ones, because, for example, in order to get into, in order for a student to see this 3D model of a Gulag camp, they need glasses of virtual reality. They need a headset, basically. And of course, not every school has headsets. And so that is a technical problem, how to get headsets to every school that will be interested in participating in our project. So we have to decide that. We're also not sure what kind of headsets we need in 2 years, because technologies are developing really fast, and it all may change. That is more of a technical issue. The other issue is how to decide, is the question how to deal with the stories of real people, because our project in this educational tool, it's all based on stories of real people who ended up in gulags in Soviet times. And we collaborate with different archives, and the question is how to elegantly build these stories of real people into this project. So that is also quite difficult, and that is a big challenge for us. Lastly, I will show you some video from testing our tool in one of Prague schools, because of course you have to get feedback from your target audience. And in our case, that is feedback from schools, from students in schools. And we have already started testing that in the Czech Republic, but we couldn't finish it because of the COVID pandemic. Basically, we were only able to go to one school in December 2020. So this video is from this day when we tested it. That is in Czech language, but I think you can get the idea still. Now I don't have, yeah. It says here that we did not want to get to make this such a complex topic really simple, too simple, but we want to use the modern technologies to deal with it. Okay, so that is in Czech, but here you can see students talking about our first developments of this tool. And basically what they are saying and is that they liked that it is really interactive, that you can walk there, that you can do something with some objects in there, that you can walk between a lot of buildings. And for example, then you could break, you can pick up some tool and try to break a stone with it. And so, of course, we need to get feedback more, and we will, as soon as the situation will allow us to go into some schools. We have some contacts with Prague schools that might be interested in it. So yeah, so as soon as we will contact them. And in the near future, we will launch a website about this tool, where you can find all the information I just talked about. And so you can just follow our Facebook page, Gulag.cz, and you'll find there all the news. So thank you for your attention. That's it from me.
Okay, great. Alexandra, thank you. I guess from now we are all looking forward to 2023, when we could use this final version of your project. It seems to be really very, very interesting and important. Okay, I think we can move to our third speaker, Jan Blažek, who works as at the Czech non-governmental organization Postbellum. The organization deals with memoirs and of witnesses of different important events of the 20th century. So, as far as I know, Jan will tell us something about the archive called Pam'ěti národa, or the memory of nations. So please, Jan, the floor is yours.
All right, so hello to everybody. Thank you for inviting me. As Radko already said, I will be talking about Postbellum. It's an NGO. This is something that I would like to stress. Politically impartial and independent NGO that is being funded by private donors or small contributions of our friends or through projects. So fully independent from municipalities or from the state. And since 2001, if I count correctly, it's exactly 20 years ago. So we are 20 years old now. We do actually collect the people's memories, as Radko said. Not every memory, of course. Special focus is on the experience with totalitarian regimes, in plural. And so we actually basically collect the memories of people who acted in resistance to these regimes or were victims of these regimes, or not so often also perpetrators. Of course, these people do not like to talk to us that often, so it's not easy to make interviews with them. And once we actually collect these memories, 20 years ago it started with sound dictaphones only. Now we already do it properly on cameras. So we then publish them in our archive, which I will show you soon. But we also actually try to make them public through exhibitions, increasingly also through virtual exhibitions. I will show you some examples later. And also in media, be it offline, printed, or online media, in Czech television, in Czech radio. That helps a lot. So even the radio is still popular. And we make these people stories into media products so that they are more interesting to the public. And of course, we focus a lot of attention to educational projects as well. My colleague Andrei will talk about education, so I will skip this part for the time being. 20 years ago, we came to being. 10 years ago, we helped establishing a partner organization in Slovakia. And this year, we are lucky to be able to announce that a small sister organization in Ukraine was established as well. So I will use this opportunity also to call to all Ukrainians who would like to somehow join us in our hub of, I don't know, documentarists, historians, journalists, educators, to help establishing something like Postbellum in Ukraine as well. So this was the most important thing that I wanted to say actually today. And now to the presentation. I will try to show you how the archive looks like. It's not actually it's not the archive of most modern thing, but I would like to stress that it not only speaks Ukrainian already at this moment, but it also includes 60 Ukrainian testimonies, and the number will be increasing hopefully quite rapidly. So I'm sharing the screen now. Hopefully I will be allowed to do it. So this is the archive. It's a public archive, so it's open to everyone who just wants to visit the website. Of course, those who are researchers or journalists, they would like to use the stories further on, they have to register. The registration is free of charge, so everyone is welcome. We just check a little bit what the intentions of the person in question are. What I'm showing you now is actually the screen that the registered visitors can see. So on the left side, you would see also some details that usual visitor would not see. On the right side, you see the magazine. This is our news, our media product, only in Czech for the time being, so not interesting for you. The archive is speaking in English and various other languages, including Georgian, actually, because if we have someone from Georgia listen to us, it also speaks in Georgian, and it also has mastered the Georgian scripture. So this is the database of the witnesses, very easily by the periods and by topics. One of the topics is international witnesses, those outside of Czech Republic. And if I click on it, I see all the countries that it offers. And you can see that Ukraine is actually quite represented there. For the time being, there might be actually more Ukrainian testimonies and witnesses in the database from previous years. It will need some more investigation. But in last year, with the help of our Ukrainian partners from Lviv, the Museum Territory of Terror, we have collected 20 highly interesting interviews in quite good quality in sound and picture. And so you see plenty of them here, and I will just open one of the witnesses so that you can see how nicely this person speaks in Ukrainian. Who shall I start with? For example, Mr. Olisevich. The Ukrainian witnesses, for the time being, you can see only in sound. We will work on the picture as well. If I click on Mr. Olisevich.
Коли ми тут почали робити наші акції протесту, перша акція 87-го року, що у нас відбулася тут 20 вересня 87-го року, вони про нашу акцію почули, до речі, поляки, зразу, і налагодили з нами контакти. І в мене є переписка, її оприлюднили туди і в той час, і пізніше різні дисидентські кола. Ну, як і в Чехії, поляки. Моя переписка з Яциком Чепетовичем. Вона в мене є збережена, то все є, і оцифровано. І я давав йому, як би сказати, різні такі ідеологічні, ідейні такі думки, що в нас відбувалося, що ми хочемо. І
So back to myself. There's plenty of stories that I was hoping to show you, but I'm seeing that I'm running out of time, and I also would like to show you actually what we can do with these stories that we collect in the form of various exhibitions. And one of them that I will show you is a virtual exhibition concerning the end of the Second World War, where the personal stories of the witnesses were shown in various ways, and sound, picture, comic strip, and other ways. I'm having a little bit of troubles with the sharing. It's better now. So this is the exhibition, 1945. It's in Czech only. Unfortunately, I will try to convey you the experience. Description of what happened after the war, of course, a little bit moving pictures. You go down, that's the stories of the liberations. And then you have like, I don't know, tens of stories in different ways. Death marches, you just click on it and you see a easy textual stories about what happened at the end of the war, the whole description. But if you go to the G, then it's Google Arts and Culture exhibition about the Prague uprising at the end of the war, that actually is based on the pictures that we have collected from our witnesses, with descriptions and with also sound. Not only what the radio said at that time, but also what our witnesses have told us during the interviews with them. So as it is in Czech, I will just skip it now, and I will try to show you other versions that we have, which of course are the radio stories. Here, I would not click on it because this is again only in Czech and sound. That's not that interesting for you, and it's visual. I think it might be actually more appealing. And these are the comic books. We have actually also already published 4 comics books, and now we are trying to make more animation movies out of it and so on. The combination. A combination of the sound of the witnesses' stories directly spoken by him and the way how an artist has seen the story in a comic book, which you can investigate in detail and later on also go to the library or bookshop and buy. So again, I will not torture you with that much of Czech language. And last thing I would like to show you, or maybe just tell you about, is actually the augmented reality exhibitions that we do. I have at this moment only photographs to show you. So I don't think that this will be that much of interest, but we actually create panel exhibitions that we showed in all of Czech Republic and Prague. The biggest one was actually 2 years ago, when it was the 20th anniversary of the Velvet Revolution, the Shreds of Revolution it was called, and we would have panels on the main square of the revolution, that people going on there with their cell phones and being able to just put the cell phone in front of the picture of the witness that talked about some events of the revolution, and then either the witness would start talking in the phone for them, or some additional details like maps would occur. So if I look at the time, I think it might be all right for me now to stop. I'll be looking forward to some other questions from you.
Okay, great. Thank you for this very interesting presentation. And now our next speaker is Andrej Novak, who works with different organizations like Gulag.cz, Postbellum, and some other institutions. And as far as I know, he will introduce us to some educational programs once again, and probably will say a few words about one very interesting game. So please, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you very much. Hello, everybody. Frankly speaking, it's quite inconvenient because I don't know who's watching and what your interests are. But as far as I know, you're interested in archives and in working with archives, and I would like to connect to our previous presentations with what can be done in school, because I'm a teacher. I also teach in one of Prague's schools, and I teach history. So we've heard already and seen quite a few shiny, polished, techy tools and apps, but I would like to ask, what's the point of using them? And more generally, what's the point of teaching history at all? What if we just delete history lessons from our curriculum? Wouldn't it be nice? Wouldn't we have just more free time for our children? Or we could concentrate more on maths, for example? So this is a question for you, and I know that some of you are watching that on Facebook. So if you have an answer, you can post it on Facebook, because I'm here and there, so I can have a look. So what is the point? What is the meaning? What is the why is it important to have history lessons in schools? So if you have any ideas, I'd welcome if you could write an answer or your idea, your opinion on that. I'm asking that because currently here in the Czech Republic, we're undergoing a serious discussion on this topic. What should be the goal of history teaching? And one of our answers is that we should concentrate more on building certain competencies and skills. It's not just telling children a certain story or a certain narrative, but to promote them, to help them to become independent thinkers. It's kind of, I would say, similar to critical thinking, but only applied to history. I don't know what the situation in your countries, but in our country, it's quite often that children just hear a certain story. And now imagine a work of an historian who poses an hypothesis, then collects evidence from various sources. And these sources can be, for example, records from archives, or these can be testimonies of witnesses, or these can be archaeological findings. And then we have to interpret all of that. And around that, we can build a certain story or a narrative and build history as such. But in our schools, we quite often just do the last step. we just tell the final story or a certain national narrative, but we don't provide our children with sufficient skills to think independently, also in the area of history. And that's what we are trying to change. And for that, we use several tools. And I would like to show you 3 tools that I've been currently using with my children in the age between 10 and 15. I mean, my school children, my students. The first is, it's not from Gulag.cz nor Postbellum. It was developed by the Institute for the Documentation of Totalitarian Regimes, which is a government-funded organization here in Prague. And they have a very good educational department. And they developed an app called History Lab. And now I would like to take you through one of exercises in History Lab. So I will try to share my screen, and also I will post it to Facebook so that you can log in. Hopefully it works. I've just posted it to the Facebook. So you can log in to my account. Not 100% sure it works, but you can try it. And I will also share it on my screen, but you can do it independently. So just a minute, I will share my screen. Just a minute. Sorry. Yeah. So it's an app developed especially for all the teachers. So you can register all your students, you can register there as teachers. And one of the goals here is to work with sources, historical sources that you can find, for example, in archives, and try to develop certain skills when working with children. So now this is an exercise built on comparing 2 photographs, a very easy, very simple exercise. So I don't know if you can see that. You can. So we've got here 2 pictures, which can be we found, for example, in a municipal chronicle. In our country, every town and every village has to have a municipal chronicle. These sources are available. Most of them are digitized, so you can find them. So now you have 2 pictures of the same place taken from one of the villages here 100 kilometers to the northwest of Prague. And the goal is compare and show, you have a magnifying glass here, so you can have a look, you can read the inscriptions, for example, and your goal is, just a minute, to identify what changed over time. So one photograph is recent and one was taken some 70 years ago. And the goal is to mark with red and blue dots what has changed and what has remained the same. It's a very easy exercise, but if we want our children to become independent thinkers and we want them to make analysis, then this is a very basic skill that they have to develop to see what has changed over the time and what has remained the same. And then they have to pose a hypothesis. Why has the change happened? So this is an example. So if you can do that over the link which I sent to Facebook, so you can do that yourself. And if you fill that in, then I, as a teacher, will receive your answers, and then I can work with that. And I can see how much your historical thinking has developed. So this is an example from History Lab CZ. And if you're interested in this type of work with students, then you could use, for example, Historiana EU, which is another source of activities and exercises for working with students. And I'm pretty sure that you can find also some topics and themes that are relevant also for the Ukraine, Georgia, and other countries. So this was about Historiana and History Lab. Another tool that I've been using over the past 2 months is a game that has been already mentioned. And for me, I'll stop just a minute, sorry. I'll stop sharing. For me, it's like a textbook. I think we all know textbooks from our past, from when we went to schools. If you are teachers, then you probably use textbook as well. So it's a book where you have text, pictures, some exercises, and basically that's it. And I don't know how your students are fond of textbooks. For example, mine, they don't love them and they prefer other media, like, for example, playing video games instead of looking into textbooks. And now I would like to show you an example how these two media can merge into one. So we have a didactic goal on one side that we traditionally keep meeting by using textbooks. And on the other hand, we've got new media, and I will post link now again to Facebook, and I will share my screen. So just a minute, bear with me, please. So now, oh, no, sorry. So now you can have a look at the site of a computer game that was developed by a consortium of various institutions and funded publicly, and Postbellum also took part in the development of that. And it's a video game that can be played with your mobile phones, on your computer, basically on any device. You don't have to have the newest computer processor and graphic card and so on. So it can be used by everybody, and it's a game telling a story from the Second World War here in the Czech Republic. So students can learn what was the life like during that time. It tells us the story of a couple in 1942, when the Reichsprotector Reinhard Heydrich was assassinated here in Prague, which is one of the very significant events in the history of the Second World War here in the Czech Republic. If I had to teach that in a traditional way, it would take several hours. I'd estimate 5 hours. And probably children would yawn, they would get bored. Whereas when I use this game, I can engage them in a manner that would be not able without using the video game format. So I'll try to stream again a bit of that. Share screen. So now, if you just type in Attentat, which means assassination in Czech and German, in YouTube you can see a whole gameplay, so you can have a look yourself. So it's the story of the assassination, and it poses you as a game player in the role of a grandson or a granddaughter. Your grandfather is ill, lying in coma in hospital, and your grandmother told you a little bit of their family history from that time, from the Second World War, and you would like to know more. So you know that something happened, and you have several moments where you can decide what to do. And based on that, the game moves on. It's another way how you can work with historical sources, including records from archives. But they're posed to you in the most convenient time and within a gameplay scenario. And beside that, there are also things that you have to learn. That, for example, your grandmother tells you that she particularly does not like her neighbor because allegedly he collaborated with Gestapo, with the Nazi Germans during the Second World War. And the neighbor is still alive, so you can go there and ask or make an interview. But how to make that? That's something that you have to learn too. How to start your own oral history project, so to say. How to pose a good question. How to be polite. These are, again, skills that children have to learn. And this game includes that too. It's not only interactivity, it's not only cartoons, but there are also text and pictures as you would have in a traditional textbook. Can't find them now. So there are articles for students to read and so on. So in my case, I would let the children play this game. The whole game takes about 2 hours. So the children would play the game at home. And then afterwards, I can work with those texts and questions and sources during lessons. I don't have to tell them the whole story of what was the history of the Second World War in the Czech Republic, when was Reinhard Heydrich assassinated, and so on. They can learn them themselves at home. That's not my question. My role there is to talk with the children and discuss with them. So that was the game Attentat 1942. And as a third example of what we are using here is something what we've done at Postbellum. We've had for many years a project called Stories of Our Neighbors, where groups of children from the age of 10 to 18, let's say, gather in small groups of between 4 and 5, and they start their own oral history projects, so to say. So they have to make an interview with witness and record his or her memories, and then present them at a festivity, an event, a huge celebration held locally, where the elder people, the witnesses, and also teachers, students, and parents gather, and the children tell the story of what they recorded in video, using drama, making podcast, any type of media. And the teachers, it's done at schools with a local teacher, and they get support from one of our coordinators. We've had hundreds of schools and thousands of children doing that. But then March 2020 and COVID came, and now we could not work with children anymore in an offline world. So we decided to move online. And we decided to make a project that we call Dokumentarista domova, which means something like became a document filmmaker from the comfort of your home. And let's bear with me, I'll try to share the screen. It's all in Czech, but if you click with your right mouse click, then you can, or at least me here, I'm using Chrome, I can translated automatically to English or Ukrainian or Georgia or any language that you would need, and it's quite intelligible, I would say. So basically, all that a school or a group of children needs to run such a project is available here. So imagine that I'm a second grade teacher. I'll translate that to English. Everything is translated. And I've got several blocks of what I can do online with my children to prepare them for an interview with a witness. And then there are also tips how to make how to record the interview online, because we can't meet with especially with elderly people. They're afraid of going out, and so we made it possible to communicate via Meet or Skype or whatever, so that we can, and we have a huge database of witnesses. So we can connect all those who are interested in doing that with a certain witness, put them together, and the children or students can then make their interviews and work even during COVID time, making their presentations, which also includes, for example, visiting archives. So you record a certain testimony, and then you have to test it or confront it with a document that can be obtained from archives. So that's also one of the steps that is to be done within this project. So with the help of this project, it can all be done online during COVID times. Hopefully, we won't have to use that anymore quite soon, but unfortunately, now it's still used because the lockdown here ended just, I think, 2 weeks ago. So again, I'll post to Facebook a link to this project, and I think we're running out of time, so that's it.
Okay, great. Thank you, Andrei, for this great presentation, because I'm pretty convinced that the question how to make children think independently is extremely important, and it's not only about children nowadays. So thank you for some advices and for giving us some tools for this. And now I hope that in some sense we will we are coming back to the beginning of our meeting, because now I would like to ask Stepan to tell us a few words about archives of STB and some different projects that are available in Czech Republic with these archival materials. So please, Stepan.
Okay, thank you. So I will speak very briefly this time, because I'm not a co-worker of the archive, Security Services Archive. I was just asked to briefly introduce the Security Services Archive of the Czech Republic, which is the archive where are materials from the period of the communist regime of Czechoslovakia from 1948 till 1989. In this archive are materials of security or like from the secret police called STB, Státní policie, Státní bezpečnost, sorry, and not only. However, these materials are the most of the materials are from the secret police in the archive. Other materials are from the normal police from the communist period, and there are also archives from border security corps and some other sources. And all of these materials were put together in 2008 when the Archive of Security Services were established in the Czech Republic. It was established quite maybe later than in other Central European countries, and it was established together with, in 2008, together with the Institute for the Study of Totalitarian Regimes, which is something like the institutes of the national remembrance in other countries as well. In Ukraine, you have the similar institution, and it was established together. Those two bodies, Archive and the Institute, and I have to say that a lot of people in the Czech Republic don't know that there are in reality two institutions. They think it is one, the Institute for the Study of Totalitarian Regimes with the Archive, but in reality these are two organizations, but they work tightly together a lot. So the law under which the archive was established is maybe the most liberal in the Central Europe, and the access to the archival materials from the communist era is the most real, I think the most liberal among other Central European countries, and everybody can access the archive. Everyone can ask the materials, and more than 99% of archival materials are accessible to public. And of course, these materials are often full of many sensitive information concerning some specific people, but the responsibility and it's not allowed to publish like sensitive information, but the responsibility of the publishing of this information has the researcher and not the archive, and it is the reason why the archive can show all these materials to all the researchers. And as I know, when Ukrainian Archive of Security Forces was established, or it is in the process of establishing, when the law about the access to archival documents from the communist era in Ukraine was preparing, the authors were inspired in Czech experience, and I think you have also very liberal law and access to these archival materials. And the institutions, Ukrainian Institute of National Remembrance and SBU Archive and New Archive in Ukraine have been cooperating a lot with the Czech Security Services Archive. So, and if you want to learn or some archival materials, you can, the easiest way is to visit the website, and I will share the screen now. Okay. So the website is accessible, of the archive is accessible at abscr.cz, and it is accessible in English, so you can switch into the English, and then you can read more about the materials which are in the archive, and you can also use some registries which can help you in searching of the topic you are interested in. For example, you can try to find something with the name Havel. So, okay. It's slow, unfortunately. Okay, there is something. There are some results, so you can have a look. These are materials which can help you to learn whether there are some materials or not. But anyway, it's better to ask directly the archive to help you with your search. And the easiest way is just to write to this email address info@abscr.cz and to ask them what are you interested in and what are you looking for, and they will help you with your research. The other useful tool of the archive is electronic reading room, which is accessible at the address of ebadatelna.cz. Maybe I will share it in a Facebook conversation later, or you can ask me to send it to you. And at this electronic reading room, there are some archival materials which are already digitalized, but not all of them. And it's also accessible in English. Yes, here. So you can you have to register first, and then you can use it. And it's very popular among Ukrainian researchers, for example, to try search the topic of Banderovci, because there is a lot of materials in this archive about Bandera troops which escaped from the Ukraine territory to Germany after the World War II. So there are some materials, you can have a look, you can study it here, but it's in Czech. But by the way, all these materials about Bandera and Banderovci, it is already Ukrainian SBU archive has these materials because of the exchange of materials between Czech Security Services Archive and Ukrainian SBU archive and other institutions. So it's briefly about the archive. It's a very important source of information, of archival documents in the Czech Republic. All the organizations and NGOs and historians who work with the topic of the communist regime, they work with the materials from the archive, and you can find the results of the cooperation or the results and the materials. You can find it very often in many projects, educational projects, which Andrei was speaking about, or in many articles in newspapers and websites, in books. And also one of the very interesting results is I can show you. It was an exhibition called Prague Through the Lens of the Secret Police. It was translated to many languages. This one is Russian. This one was in German. There was English version, also Ukrainian version. And on this exhibition were shown photographs from surveillance, and which is and it looks like real artist photographs, but it was not taken as an art. It was taken for another reasons. But it was a really successful result of the work of the archive. There's also a book about these photographs, and these photographs from the surveillance are very often used in many outputs and results of many Czech projects. So it's briefly about the archive, and if you are interested in cooperation with them, with the archive, or if you have more questions, I can give you a contact to co-workers of the archive, and they are ready to cooperate with anybody from abroad, from Ukraine as well. So that's all.
Okay, great, great. Thank you, Stepan, for this information. I guess that was the last presentation, in fact. So now we can move to the questions and answers. We do already have some, and for the very beginning, I would like to say that there were a couple of questions about links on the film. You've showed it already, but still, and about the archives. People are asking about links to these archives. If you could please write it down on the comments, so the audience can take a look. People can take a look by themselves. These were some general questions, and now we can move to some more concrete things. And the first one probably is to Stepan. Have you met any obstacles from the Russian authorities during your expeditions? Indeed, this was a question that I would like to ask also, because as we've talked before about the case of Yuri Dmitriev, and I guess it's not the only one case in this sense. I mean, is this that easy just to come to Russia and to make some research on Gulag, or there were some complications from Russian authorities? Thank you.
No, we didn't have any troubles during our expeditions, but the first expedition took part in 2009, which is quite a long time ago, and the last one, we already organized 4 expeditions. 3 of them were to the remains of the so-called Dead Road, which was the railroad built by Gulag prisoners between rivers Ob and Yenisei in the north of Siberia. And there's a lot of remains of the Gulags, and we organized 3 expeditions there. And the 4th, the last expedition for this time, it was organized only in 2016, so 5 years ago. And it was this expedition headed to eastern Siberia, to the mountains, Kodar Mountains, to so-called Marble Gorge, where Gulag prisoners mined uranium for the first Soviet atomic bombs. And there are also some remains of the Gulags up in the mountains. And you know, these places are very far from the nearest villages and cities, and they are in very remote parts of Siberia, very hard accessible, which is, by the way, the reason why the camps are so preserved till now. And so there is no control or anybody who would control you, what you are doing. And we were just like tourists, and we didn't ask for any special permission to do this research, because in reality we were tourists and we didn't do any real archaeological ticking or something like that. All the technologies which we use don't damage the places and objects. So, and we didn't have any troubles, and I have to say that people we met were very helpful, and they were interested what we are doing, and they tried to help us and to rent us some boats or to help us in other ways. And also we told to people in the nearest villages and cities, to these local authorities, that we are going there and we are interested in the remains of these Gulag constructions, and they were okay with that. But it was quite a long time ago, and if we go to Siberia these days, maybe it would be different. I'm not sure, because the situation, as Alexandra said, is more complicated now in Russia, and our partners from Memorial and other organizations are under very big pressure, and all activities from abroad are not very welcome, I would say. So maybe it would be a problem. But on the other hand, it's not possible to say that the Russian authorities are against these like expeditions, because, for example, there is a State Museum of the Gulag in Moscow, which organize similar expeditions to these places, and we also cooperate with them. And they don't have any troubles. They are welcomed by local authorities, and they have good plans to make some museums in Kolyma region, for example, and their activities are supported by authorities. So it's the situation in Russia is very, how to say it, complicated, confused, and maybe one day you can do something which would be okay, and the second day you can be arrested. It's unpredictable.
Great, thank you. The next question is probably for Alexandra. About this educational tool, you said that it's based on real life stories. How did you pick which stories will be included?
Okay, thank you. Well, I'm not sure, but I think we still have to decide that with our European colleagues, because unfortunately, because of COVID, we are not able to meet with them in person and discuss all the details about, about that too, about what stories will be included. But maybe my colleagues will add more, but I think that the general idea was that, as I said, each country will get a slightly adapted version. And so the general idea is that, for example, in Czech Republic here, we work with stories of Czechs who ended up in Gulag. So maybe we will do something like that for each country who participates in our project. But I'm not sure, and maybe Stepan and Andrei will add something more to that question.
I can just add that it's a big challenge what to choose, because you have just maybe 90 minutes for the lesson, and you have to speak about the whole history of Soviet repressions in general, about the Gulag, about the specific stories, and it's necessary to cut every information, and what to choose, what story to choose, and how to work with that. It's a big challenge.
Okay, thank you. And the next question is on the same topic. Don't you plan to make a video game based on the materials of your project with augmented reality? Yeah, as far as I understood, something like Escape from the Gulag, or I don't know.
We don't have this plan at this moment, and it's also, I think it would be possible to work a lot with the results, and we could do some computer game and an augmented reality game, but I think there is some kind of border or a red line which we don't want to some results would not be fine to realize, because it's a really sensitive topic, and we have to Yeah, we have to think about that all the time. What would be okay and what is not okay. And I think just to have a game about the gulags and so it is not okay. Briefly.
If I may add, I think we lack a certain word in all our languages, because we have the word video game, which we it's connected in our minds with first-person view shooting or something like that. And then you can have an educational tool with certain patterns of gamification. And the line to distinguish between a game in the proper sense of the word and something that you can use in schools is very blurry. And it's, I think, one of the challenges, as Stepan mentioned, to find the boundary now.
Okay, thank you. And the next question is probably to Andrei. Do you plan to involve archives in such educational courses?
Yes, I tried to answer that already, and I'll posted a link. So in one of the guides that we have for our teachers, there's also an activity which involves a visit to archives, so that you record a witness, and then you have to confront it, or you can confront it if necessary, with the documents that are available from archives. And as Stepan mentioned, the access to the archives is quite straightforward. So yes, that's what we want from our students, to work with the sources and to infer and interpret them, not just to rely on a story that we tell them, or one single story that a witness may say, because he or she may not recall everything correctly. So it's useful to confront it with archives.
Okay. The next question is probably to Jan. You have shown several projects such as Pam'ять národa in Czech. Do you plan to make them available in English as well?
I've done my best to show actually the English version of our archive and website. So of course we are increasingly international. So Pam'ять národa is actually the Czech version, but Memory of Nations, and now the plural is quite important there, is actually can be regarded as an international project already. And as I said, apart from our activities in Ukraine that I tried to introduce, that we did last year, Memory of Nations is actually growing internationally in other parts of the world, especially currently in those parts of the world where the dictatorships are still active and holding power, like Cuba, for example, or Belarus. But PR International Archive, if you look at the www.memoryofnations.com website, then everything is in English and in many other languages partly as well. And if we want to make something in other parts of the world, yes, absolutely, we are trying to develop a hub similar to Postbellum in Czech Republic, currently in Ukraine, but in coming years also in other countries, mainly in Europe. Thinking about Hungary in the coming years.
Okay, thank you. Probably I will ask one question myself, because as far as I do work with the topic of dissident movement in Czechoslovakia and Ukraine, so I would like to ask one question. What would you say, how the general heritage of this Soviet socialist regimes is perceived in nowadays in Czech Republic or in Russia, for example, and so on and so forth? Because, for example, in Ukraine, like every year we have a big discussion when there will be some new data that something like 30% of Ukrainians do have some kind of nostalgia for the Soviet Union. I guess I've seen quite similar results in Czech Republic, but I'm not sure. So I just wanted to ask probably all of you, yeah, because you do work with memory and how the memory works in this sense that we know that we are talking about some totalitarian, socialistic regimes and so on and so forth. But how it works nowadays, how the society perceive it.
But if I'm the first one answer this question, you mentioned it for yourself that the data, from what I know, are not that different. If you compare Ukraine and Czech Republic, for example, I've just recently read some research done by Peter Pomerantsev and London School of Economics about the views of Ukrainians concerning this. And I was surprised, and I said, how can they be that nostalgic towards the Soviet past? And then I was not lazy, and I tried to compare it with numbers that are actually available by sociologists concerning Czech Republic, and it's basically the same. So I don't think that the difference is here. There may be some difference if you compare Western and Eastern Ukraine. There may be some difference if you compare urban dwellers and people from smaller towns and villages, including in Czech Republic, of course, but I don't see any difference there. What I do perceive as a difference is that the dissident tradition was maybe slightly better preserved and honored back in the 1990s in Czech Republic, so we have more to build our memories on, I think.
Thank you. Anyone else? No? Okay, so I guess thank you. We have one more question. How do you develop your cooperation with schools for sharing the results of your projects? I think it's relevant for everyone, for anybody that would like to answer.
If I may answer that now on behalf of Postbellum, because I also work for Postbellum in the educational department. It takes time, and the most important is to provide schools with local help and service. So, for example, for the project that I mentioned, which was called Neighbors, Stories of Our Neighbors, where the students, the learners record testimonies of witnesses. So we have local coordinators who may be teachers or some other people who would like to work with schools and with children who are there on the spot. They are ready to help, to organize, for example, visiting an archive. Teachers might not know or might hesitate to visit an archive. So the people are there to help them to come over those obstacles. And I think the schools keep coming back because they know that with the help of our staff or the coordinators, it's quite easy even to run a project that might be a bit controversial in some sense. For example, we might have regions where the nostalgia for the times from the previous time is greater, and there might be regions where the narrative is not, for example, as presented by their grandfathers, grandmothers of the students, is not identical with the general narrative that's been presented within the society. And teachers might hesitate to run such projects. So these people are there to help them to come over those problems. And I think this is valued by the schools and teachers.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, and as I do know right now that Stepan has some information about the exhibition that is being prepared. So could you please tell us something about it?
Yeah, that's like important information regarding this workshop and our today's meeting. because this workshop is a part of a bigger project which is organized by the Center for Research on the Liberation Movement from the Ukraine. And this project is called as Repressed Artists. And the goal of the project is to have an online exhibition based on materials from the archive of communist services from Ukraine, Georgia, and the Czech Republic. And the result will be the online exhibition where 10 stories of repressed artists from each country will be shown, and it will be shown as based on the materials from the Security Services archive. So on the Center for Research on the Liberation Movement is the main organizer, and the Czech partner is our Gulag.cz association, and also Czech Security Services archive, because the materials will go from the archive. And there is also Georgian partner, which cooperates with the Georgian Ministry of Interior archive. So the result should be published during this summer. And as a part of the project are these online workshops about other digital projects in all 3 involved countries. So this one was the first, like the Czech experience. Then the Ukrainian and Georgian experiences should follow a bit later. So that's the important information about the background of this workshop. And I have to say that we are really happy to be partner of this project, which we find very important and interesting.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so probably at this quite optimistic point, I would like to thank everybody. I would like to thank the organizers, the Center for Research on the Liberation Movement. Thanks all the speakers for these great presentations, and for the audience that being with us. I really do think that it was a very nice and fruitful discussion. So thank you, and we will cooperate in the future, I'm pretty sure.